Tonight's episode is brought to you by Goodwood-Digby Distillery. Hard to pronounce, easy to drink. Find out more at goodwooddigby.com.
Just give the average Joe an insight of what's it like playing at this level.
Friday night's always been a personal favourite of mine. You've got the long weekend. Everyone's just wanting that release, that stimulation, just to watch a macabre sport of gladiatorial confrontation. And you feed off that as athletes. Like, you love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Can you hear? My girlfriend's on the phone in the background. Can you hear that?
A little, nothing too crazy.
Okay, yeah. Once I start talking, we should be fine then.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Drop Kickoff podcast. We're having a regular one. We haven't had a regular one in a while. If you've been listening, which we know you have, Nick and Nathan have been doing instant reactions, but after all the games, I noticed you didn't do an instant reaction after the Oz-New Zealand 15 game, but we'll talk about that later, I guess, why that hasn't happened. But as you could probably hear by that snort, that's Nathan Williamson. He's back on. Nick, unfortunately, isn't on. His wife has issued a come and get me plea. Nathan, how are you feeling? Like, yeah, I mean, you've been flat out. You've been covering Lions and doing podcasts.
I mean, the reason why there was no ANZ is because I didn't have a voice. Like, that's the thing. You were
screaming too hard.
That's it. Screaming at why none of those guys could actually
Lucan!
Switch on! For fuck's sake. It's been good. It's been so much fun sort of going around this country, like getting to experience all these games and all these experiences, like outside of a couple of hiccups travel-wise. Like, it's been great. I think it was like 5 games, 11 days. It just kind of pumps you up for the test matches that are coming, which starts on Saturday.
The real tour. But it's not just me and Nathan tonight. We have a very special guest. You may know him by his PSN name, Scrum Time Hillsy 3. And Nathan was telling me before he'd seen him on the leaderboards. But
those leaderboards we can't talk about.
Yeah. The three is to delineate exactly which part of the scrum that I was a part of, just so you know.
Yeah. Very niche. Very niche. But yes, we have Jared Hills on. Jared, you can describe yourself. I'm not really sure how you want to come across, what you want to give away and what you don't. But Jared Hills, welcome onto the pod.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you having me. Distinct lack of beef on this pod tonight, so I think they had to call me in and provide a forwards perspective, and I'm very very glad to be here. You could have picked a lot of other people, and I'm glad you chose me. So thanks very much.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you think I could pass for it back. I'll take that compliment. Mate, 4, 5, 6 all the way.
Yeah, Dylan was like, I can't believe how tall Nathan is, and like, yeah. I mean, you look like you're squatting at the moment, knowing how tall you are.
Whoa, of course.
Yeah.
I grew up a second row back row, so man, I still got that.
Yeah, that elusive number 6 that we've been missing. It could have been you. Could have been you, mate. Anyway, let's get crack-a-lackin'. Let's start talking rugby. So, Lions Stores come on. Nathan, you've seen it all. I'll start with you. So South Africa, as we can talk about, they chucked out a couple of surprises in their game against Italy's second team to really show those Italians what it means to play rugby. But what has been the biggest surprise for you this Lions tour? Whatever it is. For me, it's how big they are. That's one surprise, which I'm kind of scared about. But you know, Nathan, I don't get scared or nervous.
No, never scared. Always calm. They're nervous, we're calm. That's it.
Yeah.
For me, it's honestly the lack of noise. Like, every pommy wants to sort of go on a bit like, oh, it's, we sing for 80 minutes, it's a different game, Lions. And it's like, I've heard that chant like half a dozen times over 6 games. they just kind of just sit there and just watch, and you're like, oh, hang on, you call us shit fans that we don't get around our team. They've been so much worse over the past 6 games. Like, I'm not sure if that's the fact because they've just blown us out, and then it's been a case of, oh, we don't need to bother. This is just, oh, well done, boys, good work blowing out these convicts, and you're just like, again, I'm sorry, I thought the Lions were supposed to make noise. And so someone was trying to make the argument of, oh, Adelaide was the first time we heard the Lions chant. And whilst not true, we've heard it a couple of times, it felt like that for a lot of people. They like the famed noise and Red Army that sort of comes with them just hasn't emerged yet. So that's been surprising so far for me.
I'll second that. I've been to a few games and they've been surprisingly timid. And usually you sign up for an English or let's just call it for what it is. It's the English that are doing all of the noise. You sign yourself up for an English or a Lions game or something like that, and you generally have to apply some lubrication for that whole adventure. But no, recently, I went to the Waratahs and then did the daily double and went down to Canberra. And yeah, surprisingly respectful and timid. And yeah, usually that Lions chant starts to grate on you after about 20 minutes in the pub. But can't. They've all been on their best behaviour.
I don't like it. Has there been any swing lows?
Don't think you can. I don't
Not
think
even
you
close,
can really, it's a bit of a party foul to swing low, on a Lions tour. Surely.
I mean, I would say it's a bit of a party foul to sing a slave song as an English rugby fan, but
really. But
what do I know?
Not even Ireland's call, given how many of them are Irish in this side. Like,
and no one knows Gaelic or Scottish or anything like that. So yeah, they're stuffed.
Yeah, a couple of weird Irish accents and Scottish accents in this team. Tell you that. But yeah, let's talk about the Lions and let's get crack-a-lackin' into it again. I've said that twice. Jeez, big day for me. So how do we feel about this Lions test? I mean, Jared, you're the guest. Be nice to a guest. You can go first. But how are we feeling? Like, I mean, are we nervous? Are we calm? Like on that level, are there vulnerabilities to exploit? Their strengths to.
As a 37-year-old Wallabies fan, you manage your expectations. However, I think there's positives to take away from those the tour games. One thing that I was surprised about in those games was just how we were able to, the Force, the Reds, the Waratahs, and also the Brumbies. We won't talk about the AUNZ team, but they all started really well. I think 3 out of the 4 teams, scored the first points, and don't quote me on that. But yeah, I do recall those teams starting really well, and then sort of fading away around that sort of 40, 50-minute mark, post first half, which is just an indication of the talent that they've got and the depth that they've got. So it'll be interesting to sort of put the 2 squads together and sort of see how that plays out. Will Australia be able to start fast and play their game and on the doctored pitches that we curate for ourselves and all of that sort of stuff? And then are we able to sort of hang with them? When their reserves come on, international, like starting international level reserves come on, at that 50 to 60 minute mark, so that's what I'm sort of looking at in this first test. And obviously who they select, I think he's done a pretty good job of sort of hiding who is going to be in that starting team. So yeah, if I was to summarize it, yeah, very nervous excitement, really, really keen to sort of get into it.
Nathan?
Yeah, I tend to sort of go the same way. I think our bench battle is going to be so important because I think that's been the difference in these tour games is you notice a difference or the quality or the lack of quality that the Australian sides have had to pull on. And that's largely down to the fact that you have 8 to 10 guys in Wallabies camp who aren't playing these games. So there's probably no coincidence that the Brumbies were able to bring on some of the sort of better reserves in like your Reimers, your Debrasinis of the world, and they were actually able to really push them at the end there. So I think that's going to be a crucial battle. But yeah, it's very interesting to see how these Lions team will line up because everyone has been so good. Like there's so, in a weird way, that's almost a good thing for the Wallabies because there are so many options for them that they can get into a point of overthinking. Like there is reports coming out of England that they might end up overlooking a Jack Morgan or a Henry Pollock altogether out of the 23 and go for the more tried and trusted combos in that back row. And like a Burn, Burn, Jack Cohen, Tom Curry is what they're reporting out of England. And it's like, okay, that's fine, but Jack Morgan's been probably one of the best players of the tour. Henry Pollock's been shown that he's not all hype. He's been great. Are you going to run with neither of those guys? It's bold, but I think the interesting thing for the Wallabies is who actually will sort of be fit and ready to go. You keep hearing reports that Rob Valentini could be out, and most likely will be out. Laney Gleeson apparently is in doubt, according to the Raw. And Tom Liner at 10. Like, there's 3 big selection calls that need to be made that will dictate how this first test goes. And I don't know. It's this first game's so fascinating because the Lions have been so dominant. If the Wallabies can roll them, you all of a sudden can start overthinking stuff if you're in that Lions camp, particularly when you've got to somewhat focus on a game like Tuesday against a First Nation Pacific team, which will have nothing to lose, really, given what happened with AUNZ. So it's kind of a fascinating little chess match going on before the actual match. So that's what I think is interesting about this period right now.
Yeah, it's funny actually watching these games, and you're wondering what Joe Schmidt is saying do or don't do, to lead him down the wrong path. Like you watch Waratah's game and how they played against the Lions, and it was almost nothing like how the Wallabies played against Fiji in terms of like just the defensive effort. But the Waratahs were showing how to do it. You just smash that breakdown, just get on top of them. But interesting also, as I talked about when we had our last interaction, I think the biggest weakness is on the wings. And you could see now looking at what was happening in Fiji, and you look at the wingers. I don't think they're great. Our wingers are far superior. Our back three is far superior to theirs. And you can just see that's where I feel Joe's going to go, which is so anti-Joe because he's just hold on to the ball forever and don't make a mistake. So that'll be interesting to see. But I guess let's talk about the team. You mentioned Liner there. So you're saying Liner has an injury, or you just mean because it's been reported by Christy Doran that he's going to start with Gordon, I believe, in the halves.
Well, Liner's dealt with an injury throughout this build-up, but I think he's fit to go. I mean, there's a lot of conjecture because he hasn't started yet at test level, but I don't know. I can get behind this for the main reason of when you look at how Joe does his selection, I feel like he will give priority to those guys that have performed at test level in the past sort of 12 to 18 months, hence why Gordon gets the nod. And whilst logic would probably tell you, or anyone under the Ben Darwin school of cohesion would tell you, Tate might be the best option. I think it is right to go Jake and Tom. I think if you look, I think Jake's been the most consistent 9 that we've had the Wallabies in the past 12 months. And then whilst Noah was the most consistent 10, I think your fallback from that is, well, who's been your best Super Rugby 10? And for me, that has been Tom Liner this year. So I think it's one of those ones, look, it's a massive stage for him. I think 21, 22-year-old who hasn't ever started a test match, but it just seems to have that unflappable mentality and one of those people that won't be afraid to take a line on or make a big tackle. And I think getting someone with that pedigree into a stage like that, they're not going to be overawed by it. So I'm actually sort of getting behind the decision day by day, even though I would have probably gone Donaldson as the safer option.
All right, scrum time, Hilsey. Unleash.
Yeah, it's not really a strength of mine, this particular part of the podcast. But look, no, I would have picked Donaldson if the reports are true. I like what he offers in attack. I like that he always threatens the line first. He's a running threat a lot of the plays, and that just sort of puts the defense on their heels initially, and it allows you to play off the back of that. Look, I think Lino will do a great job regardless. I think he was fantastic for the Reds. But yes, Nathan, I think you said, a safe bet. I think Donaldson is a safer bet in this particular instance. So yeah, will be a huge call if Lino gets the nod. I think going back 10 or so years, I think we saw Kurtley Beale or James O'Connor, one of those young guns, take the 10 jersey against in a World Cup, and so it's always interesting, and the halves combination, given that we're likely to see Jake Gordon there, it's also the cohesiveness comes into play as well. So huge talking point when the team gets released later this week.
I feel like I'm the only kind of person that gets why he's gone Gordon and Liner and then Tate and Donaldson. Because, Joe loves playing out of his 9, more so than the 10. The traditional Australian was like 9, just give it to the 10, and the 10 does the magic. But he's playing out of the 9, and Gordon's the most European 9 we've got. Like, his biggest skills are the soft skills of reading the game. Like how many intercepts has he got, for example, and how hard does he work? And he's got the best box kick out of any of our 9s. So I think he's really gone for that. But then Donaldson, because Donaldson to me and Tom Wright, they're the same player in my mind. Like they're like the same dude, do the same X factor shit, but also do the same, Z factor, like, passing it to no one kind of gear. So you got that, and you got Tate, and Tate is a live wire, but he's not a steady hand, so to speak, like Gordon is. So I can kind of see why he's done that. He's disrupted the Queensland combo for that. But it's interesting because he won't bring Tate and Donaldson on at the same time. So I guess he will give, his plan would be to give Tate some time with Liner. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's a wild one. But maybe if Reece Hodge was still in Australia, to shout out Reece Hodge.
One of those things
might be different.
One of those things with the 9 is, like, I noticed Ryan Lonergan had a lot of success with the box kick, and particularly sort of turned around the Lions wingers on that night. Like, he a couple of times found touch perfectly and just sort of was playing that territory game. And I think that's what you should expect out of the Wallabies game plan. I think that everyone sort of focuses on the ruck in terms of the ruck and getting into those offload channels to really shut down how much speed they can get in the ball. I think that'll be your big defensive plays. And you're absolutely right by nailing that Jake Gordon is our best box kicker by far. And when you add the sort of effectiveness that our wingers and Sule you have in the air, I think that's going to be the clear strategy to try and unsettle them. And then, by sort of getting that ball back and then sort of spinning it wide and looking to sort of expose the gaps out there. So I think, if you're going to go Jake Gordon at 9, you sort of telegraphed what they're going to do. But it's one thing you're going to know. The other thing is if the Lions can actually stop it.
Yeah, for sure. But let's kind of move on to like other squad. I guess we can just kind of go through the squad, and you guys can speak up if you want to talk about anything. Now, Jared, I guess we can start at the top in terms of the numbers, the 1 and 3. Do you have any ideas, thoughts about the front row, or who would you like to see?
I've got plenty. How long we got? Obviously, Alatoa starts.
Time for your soapbox, mate. We'll both go on mute and you can turn up.
Yeah, Alan Alatoa starts. He's just been immense this year. He's since his Achilles injury, he's come back and piled on the kgs and scoring tries at will. He's been so good. The loose head position is not as clear. I've got Angus Bell starting. Whether that sort of happens, I'm unsure. The fact that he started off the bench for Fiji sort of throws the stick in the spokes with that particular call. I mean, I think that's what I would do. I like to have Bell there because he is a running threat, and he gives more in attack. His scrummaging this year has been patchy, I guess. A lot of referees haven't been siding with the way he's been attacking those scrums. So maybe there's an element there. And in terms of hooker, I think I just don't think you can go past Parecki there. I think Parecki is the most consistent in terms of line-out thrower. He's a great scrummager, and I think he gets the nod. So yeah, that's my sort of front row. I think Tom Robinson is a smoky. Recent press about him starting. I've certainly read that. The way he performed for the Force against the Lions was really, really good. I thought the Force scrum just did so well against the Lions, especially in that first half when Robinson was on the field. And that's not a name that I'm used to sort of putting up in lights, and it's a credit to him. He's clearly done the work. He's gone over to the Force to sort of to ply his trade over there, and yeah, he's done really well, and now he's in the Wallaby squad, potentially starting for or at least coming off the bench for the Wallabies against the Lions. So that's another smoky. But yeah, I'm really happy. Usually this is an area that I'm not really comfortable with coming into a Lions tour, right? They still focus on it. It's been a focus for the Northern Hemisphere for as long as this game has existed, and I've been a bit worried about it. But I've been really buoyed by the fact that these tour games has thrown in some really good showings, and a lot of these packs have been matching it, if not at sometimes getting the better of the Lions pack. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Is it fair to say they've looked human? Like, in the sense of, you look at even who the Brumbies threw up against, who's probably their first, what would have been their first string front row or tight five. Like, I think that was on the top of the head, Linton Ely, Reece Van Neck, and Lachlan Monaghan. Like, it's not exactly a first choice Super Rugby.
No,
like,
yeah,
front
right.
row, but they held their own. Like, I think that's been the big thing for me is how, you're right, like the Force guys of Hoskins, BPA, and Robinson held their own. Everyone throughout this has held their own until it's got to like your reserve guys like a Jack Barrett who hasn't really played that much getting towed up. Like, that was the only time I can think of. So I think the important thing will be, can we actually get in the referee's ear and basically say, look, whatever preconception you have about our scrums, it's not true. Like, referee what you said in front of you, and make your preconceptions up there. Don't come into it with the idea that, if it's going sideways, then it has to be the Australian scrum that's in trouble. So that's, again, I think you're right with the front row. I think that's what will end up being selected, but it'll be interesting to see if they can actually get that purchase and that pay and not have to come up against a ref or a refereeing crew that already has this preconceived ideas that the Wallaby scrum is weaker than what the Lions are out there.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Jared, for being on mine and Nathan's side about David Parecki. I think we always have to defend him for some reason. I'm like, he does the job well. I mean, I can remember Stephen Moore, having all these memes about him and his line-out throws. Like, but Parecki just does it. Does it well. Of course, not my favourite tails hooker in existence ever, but discussion for another day.
Especially if you're going to attack through your line out, right? I think you just need to, you really need to make sure that your line out's humming. And it's he in the Wallaby jumper has shown that he is the best thrower that we have out of the hookers that we've selected. The Waratahs line out, however, this year has been dreadful, but I think that's more of a communication thing, not necessarily Parecki's throwing. So, look, you have to pick him, especially if you want to attack through it. It's just such a weapon for any rugby team that takes the pitch these days. Is that you get your line out, you bring it down, you maul it, you score tries. I think the stats are there in terms of how many times how many tries are scored through that particular method.
You heard it first, people. Anytime try scorer, Parecki. Let's do it. Natho, we're talking props. We're talking props. We're talking probably one of the biggest storylines. Let's talk Thor. Talk to me about
Taniela.
Thor.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it was fascinating that they essentially trialled Tom Rompton as a loose head in that Force game. You would have thought he would have been the replacement tight head, given sort of Taniela's form. I think I still sort of lean towards him getting picked. Like I think there's some level of security there. There's some level of X factor there that you can draw upon late in the game with Taniela. But yeah, I'd be still hoping Alatoa plays big minutes, regardless of who comes on. Like I think he can do it as well. I think he can go 60, 65. And who knows, maybe 15 minutes of Taniela Tuba off the bench can deliver 1 or 2 scrum penalties with him being able to just unload himself in that such a short burst that could make a difference. But if it's me, the potential and the security that he has is just too much to turn down. I'd have him the 23 off the bench.
Yeah, wild. I don't think he's played well all year. Like I can't recall one game he's played well, which is sad.
There was a couple of half decent performances of the Waratahs. The problem is that was generally followed by one brain explosion.
Yeah.
Like, it is so clear looking at him how he does media, how he approaches the game, that this is just a man in his own head. Like,
yeah,
if you could Men in Black him and just get him straight back on, like before he runs out there, he'd be amazing. Like,
it's true though, Nathan. I totally agree. I'm a huge fan of Taniela Tupou. I just think you're right. He does bring that X factor, and also just unstoppable close to the line. But it can also, play ball, when he gets in space. But you're right, like that article that was released earlier in the year, just about how he was dealing with, his love for the game and all of that sort of stuff. It just absolutely broke my heart because he's just such a, he's such a down to earth bloke. And I hope he gets picked because I absolutely love him to pieces, and he just brings that raw power. Like he's the strongest man at that position in the world, and I'd love to see him the redemption arc, let's just call it, for Taniela Tupou to come off the bench and destroy the line scrum. That would just make my decade.
He is set up for redemption arc, isn't he? Yeah. He's like the hero. It's like you got to come back and use your powers. It's gone by.
It's so Hollywood. It's very much someone's got the yips and he's going for broke and hitting balls over the water and all the rest of it. But I think it'd be great to see him in that match day.
He'll hear a knock at his door, be like, "I told you to go away." And then it'll be Brad Thorne with the cattle prod walking in.
Oh God, not the cattle prod. Anything but the cattle prod.
Who was the cattle prod aimed at?
Sully, Villa by Eddie.
I forgot about that guy. What's he doing? Okay, moving on. Locks. I have nothing to say about the locks, although I was thinking the other day, the Forces lineup was so good, and Williams was always going to get picked. Kind of crazy that Darcy's been cut out for Lion. Nathan, who's he been cut out for?
Josh Canham.
Josh Canham, who deserves it. Nothing to say. We'll move on.
Okay, Skelton and Frost. Pick those two, and I reckon you're safe.
Fuck. Yeah.
I was going to say Skelton and Frost. I think Skelton just adds that bulk behind the tight head, which you're going to need, and who you bring on for that, could be a toss up between a few different names, but Jeremy Williams probably will come on off the bench if you were to ask me. But yes, very much looking forward to Skelton tearing it up. I think he's going to provide some weight, some heat to the Lions, and he's going to bring that European experience with him too.
And he's the only overseas player picked, right? It says a lot about Joe Schmidt saying, "I'm not going to pick anyone not in Australia," and then picking Skelton.
Look, I mean, I don't think there's anyone else you bring in, to be honest. Like, I mean, Krevi's been great in Japan, but like you looked at Mariko the AUNZ and he looked like a player in its way. It looked human, which from Marika is saying stuff.
Which is which is not Marika, is it? No.
He looked invincible for so long, and he finally looked like the years had sort of caught up to him a little bit as he's dealt with injuries. So I think it's just a case of, again, who else do you bring in that's international, that's worth it?
Liam Gill. No, you're saying that for our Queensland fans out there. Back row. Back row. Nothing to say. I think it picks itself.
With injuries, yeah, it sucks that Valentini and probably Gleeson are out. So you probably go Tom Hooper at 6, Mick Wright at 7, and Wilson at 8, and captain with Tizano on the bench.
But Tizano gets me excited. Scrum time, Hilsey. Any thoughts, especially about Tizano?
Yeah. Oh, the back row. The Australian Rugby Union back row. Just such a history of being such world-class back rowers. Even at my local rugby club, we've got back rowers as a list of as long as my forearm of back rowers, and can't find a prop.
It's a long forearm, everyone. Long and wide.
I was struggling for metaphors at that point. But look, yeah, it's just one of those things. I think you could pick any number of those. Yeah, Langy Gleeson's has been just performing so well this year. Rob Valentini, obviously a huge loss if he doesn't play on the weekend. Just probably, I think everyone puts him in that world class. Everyone calls this, world class 15. He's in that. But yeah, look, I think next man up is generally pretty good. There's a few people that I think, could have manned that bench spot as well. I thought Luke Reimer was pretty hard done by this season. I think he, really only came on, in a typecast role down at the Brumbies, but God, he's good at just, closing out games for them. I think he's the best on ball open side flanker in Australia. And the stats prove it. He's just so good at stealing balls. So but look, that's the back row position in Australia. I think they're going to perform very well, regardless of who you put on the pitch.
Yeah, right. Let's move on. We can stick with you, Hilsey. We've done the halves. We can talk the centres. Look, actually, I'll probably start on this one as well. Sorry, taking the limelight. I'm totally happy with Ikitau and Swiley there. I thought Swiley played well in the Fiji game. Like, he made his tackles. Whether he's good in the defensive strategy, I'm not brainy enough to know that. But I thought Ikitau, like you're talking about Valentini, Ikitau is world class. This guy's a freak. Is Ikitau Queenslander, by the way, Nathan? Is that where he came from?
Yeah, I think maybe via New Zealand. Let's quickly have a look. No, Queenslander. Queenslander.
Yeah, going through. Love to see it. Well, not really, because New South Wales. Anyway, yeah, fantastic. And Swiley, freak. I'm so excited. I mean, who were we talking about before that we're excited to see play Skelton? I'm so excited to see Swiley carve at daylight hours. Because last time he's carved, it's been at 1 a.m. in England. But yeah, do we have any thoughts about centres? And is anyone going to be in the bench? Doug Gunu. I'm happy with Doug Gunu.
Yeah, probably Dungunu or Callaway covering centre. Everyone says Sully had a quiet game, but like the reality of his presence is he creates space because people need to be like, shit, we need to cover him. So 3 guys fly out at him, and he throws like a little pop over the top, and ends up just putting everyone else in the space. So I think that like sometimes like Sully's best asset is the work he does off the ball and him just distracting and creating that space for the defense. So I think it's a no-brainer. You could tell Sully are your centers.
Sorry, Jared, you finally get.
No, you're right. Nicky Tau and Sully, and back to what you were saying earlier. I can't wait to sort of see that air raid tactic and Sully flying through the air. Over some of the shorter blokes on the Lions team. So especially guys like Marcus Smith. So pick him if you dare.
Sorry, boys, I've just been handed the cat. Just had to take the cat on board. So, Jared, sorry, because we spoke over you during centres, you can talk about your favourite position, your second favourite, which is the back three. I think it picks itself again.
What picks itself, Nick? Sorry, mate.
The back three, Jared.
See, the back three, mate. I think a lot is to be said about. I mean, Wright's there. You got to go with Wright. He's just been performing. He's been probably Australia's most consistent player. I know he hasn't scored many tries, but geez, he's still been good down at the Brumbies. Don't know whether you guys agree with that. He's consistent. He's safe there, but he's just such a threat too, especially when he's in Wallaby gold.
Nathan.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
Jared on this podcast.
Like the difference with Tom Wright this year has been he's been a lot more of a playmaker. Like I think he's third in try assists for Super Rugby this year, and I like that. I think it adds just a different element, and it's just something more for the defense to think of rather than something more that he has to think of. Because I think the problems in the past is he overthinks stuff and ends up just like to make the wrong option every time. The past 18 to 24 months, he feels like that decision making has been so much more clearer, and he's been able to sort of create these gaps. So, I think for me, you go right at the back with Potter and Jones, and sort of being able to unleash their pace and their what feels like endless motors to keep sort of getting around the park. So, I think for me that back three, again, as you said, sort of picks itself.
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. I think that's a team. Unless we want to talk about the bench, I think we've kind of covered the bench.
Does James O'Connor get a spot, boys?
Nah.
I wouldn't. I think it's too much to ask of him to sort of learn a playbook for essentially 5-6 sessions, if that.
Just give him one of those NFL things with a little, the little Velcro strip with all the bits of paper in it. Just give him one of them.
Like the one on the arm.
A wrist with all the plays on it.
Yeah. And it's a bit more complex than just the Bible verse. First one, score a try. All right.
In all seriousness, I think he's just in there for the experience. I think he's there to mentor Liner and Donaldson, and if there is an injury, then he gets in the squad. But I think I wouldn't put him in a 23 if it was up to me.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I think, he was playing behind a dominant Crusaders pack, and it's easy to mask a lot of things behind that. I think there are plenty of other options. I think Foley, I just think it's too far gone. And I mean, if you're going to bring someone in, I said Hodge, it's out there, but I miss him. I tell you, I miss him. Tane's there. But I don't think he played well for the Waratahs. We know fellow podcasts out there, Harry, he's South African, so he might be undermining us. Who knows? Loves him. I just want to bring him in. So Nathan, the team gets announced 1:30 tomorrow. Is that right?
1:30 Thursday afternoon.
There you go. Look at that attention to detail. So everyone listening, the Talking Teams podcast will have a podcast talking about that team when it comes out. Shout out to those boys doing that. Let's move on. Let's cap this off. So we haven't mentioned this, Hilsey, but you coach Linfield Women's. So you a women's rugby coach.
Yep.
And speaking of women's rugby, the Wallaroos played New Zealand as a curtain raiser to the New Zealand-France game on the weekend. Do you want to talk a bit about the Wallaroos, how they're going? Good first half.
Mate, they certainly turned up, the Wallaroos. Playing over in New Zealand is tough for any team, let alone just how good that Kiwi women's side is. When you've got Portia Woodman in the side as well, scoring tries at will. It's just, but in saying that, the Wallaroos really turned up. I think it was 10-7 or a pretty close scoreline after 40, and then the Kiwis just put the hammer down, started to really work the ball upfield a lot easier. But I think the main takeaway from me is just how the international 7 stars just outshine everyone else on the field when they're playing 15s as well, regardless of whether it's 7s or 15s. It just shows how strong the development is in that particular pipeline. Charlotte Caslick had a great game for us, getting pilfers and scoring one of our tries as well. So look, I think it's a great pathway. I just think we're still not where we need to be in terms of our competitiveness and our clinicity, but a lot better against a Kiwi side who is just superior to us at this stage. And with World Cups coming around, so it was good to see them put a better showing against a top tier nation in New Zealand.
Now, Nathan, before you go ahead with your thoughts on this game, I also want you to confirm, as a wordsmith, that clinicity is an actual word.
Thesaurus. No, we'll let it play.
Let the boys play.
Yeah. Nah. So nailed it there. I mean, the first 35, 40 minutes, they properly frustrated the Kiwis, which is what you wanted to see. Like, there was great pressure at the breakdown. They seemed to limit all the space and time and defense, and were forcing just the mistakes to come out. But look, there's so much class in that Kiwi side. It's only a matter of time before they get on top of it. Like, that try Georgia Miller scored was incredible. Like, just a flanker that just takes the ball from a goal line dropout and beats just 5 or 6 casually.
How she beat 3 or 4 defenders on a way to score that try was just shows where they're at.
They're at a completely different level I think it's them, Canada, and England are just at a completely different level to everybody else. And like that's going to be your 3 competing for a World Cup later in the year. But look, positive signs again. It was only last year or 2 years ago that we felt like we sort of sat in the similar pods and were like, they just looked mentally beat, which you can't say that about this. They definitely came out there and gave the Kiwis a red hot crack. So look, positive signs, still sort of going in the right direction in terms of progress. But yeah, interesting couple of games against Wales coming up, with Sika Pesipalu ruled out of these with an ankle injury, and Charlotte Caslick out with an ankle injury, and Palu out with a foot injury. So they'll be pushing it to be right for the World Cup, but hopefully back in time for that. So it's just going to test the depth before you have to go to the World Cup. So it's an interesting couple of weeks for the World Cup next month.
So that's Wallaroos losing to the Black Ferns 37-12. They're playing in Brisbane this weekend for the
Next
Lions
weekend.
game? Next weekend. Okay, a bit of a break. But yeah, Nathan, you did the live score for that, and then did you do the New Zealand France game at all? And then you did AU.
I watched it, but it looked like more of what we expect was going to happen when you have a near full strength All Blacks team against a third strength French side. Like they looked a class above the All Blacks. Like they caught that sort of scare. We know better than most. Like when you scare the All Blacks, that just kind of spurs them on to better things, and they're a much more scarier prospect that second week round. And they were firing. The French had no answer, and they were too clinical. The clinicity was off the charts, and they got it done.
Clinicity, as the French say.
The Clinicity podcast, the Drop Kickoff Clinicity podcast.
I like that. Clinicity. That can be the name for this pod. Okay, let's just crack on to the other internationals. We've got under 20s written down here. We'll talk about that after. Let's talk about it. So France, New Zealand, while on it. I didn't watch it. Did you, Jared, or?
Mate, gave it a watch. Yeah, I mean, All Blacks they were on one, mate. Like they just, it's funny when you tour in New Zealand, they've always got one of those games in their bag. You know what I mean? And it's
Like a shit game or an amazing game?
Sorry, they've got a very good game, and it's like you know when the Wallabies will go over there and they'll go to Dunedin and they'll lose by 2 points or something like that, and then they'll go to Eden Park and then they'll just get 40 put on them. It's very odd that it just one game that it just all clicks for the Kiwis at the moment. I'm sure they'll probably tell you that they would want a bit more consistency across the board, but my God, there was just no answer. Like, I get it, that French team is not very incroyable, but it's they would have beaten anyone. They would have beaten anyone last weekend. They were just so good.
Yeah, bit murd for the French there. That was murd means shit in French, Nathan. Other games, Fiji, Scotland. I didn't watch this one. I wish I did. And there's been a lot of talk about Six Nations teams should go to Fiji more, as we've seen the drawer, melting under the sun. And Scotland were without half their team, surely. Actually, side note, 3 of them have been called up to go play in the midweek game, which I think is a bit shit. It should be you have X amount of players, and unless they get injured, you got to keep them in your squad. But they've called up 3 guys, so they don't have to play 3 guys in the midweek game against the First Nations and Pacifica game. Correct, Nathan? You're looking at a bit confused.
Correct.
Correct.
No, you're right. I get their thinking because it's a Tuesday. They're essentially going to have to play 3 days after this test match, but
Cowards.
that's part of the challenge.
That's the challenge. You have 4 nations pushed together.
Or 3.
Oh, come on. No, you don't have to be that harsh about Wales.
I can't. Well, there's more people born in Canberra in that Lion squad than Welsh.
Yeah. Don't mention that, Nathan. That's racialist. Come on. What about the kids who immigrated here from New Zealand and played for the Wallabies, huh?
No, I'm not. Again, that's just a fact. Facts don't care about your feelings.
Yeah. Jared, did you watch this game at all? Do you have any feelings about Fiji?
Mate, didn't watch it.
They're a fucking good team.
Yeah, they are the Fijians, mate. Like, and this is just it. Like, if we want to go back, I'm sure you've already broken it down, but just the way that the Wallabies, some of the bonehead moves that we played, we did against them. There's one thing you just don't do is you just don't do things like chip and chase and give them a scattered field to run back at. And I just think that they really lean into their strengths, and that is playing Fijian rugby, which is just very Harlem Globetrotters, and I just absolutely love what they bring to the game, which is great. I think I read an article during the week just saying how Scotland are the only nation that's gone there twice over the last decade or something like that. I think the Wallabies need to repay the favour. They need to go there, find somewhere in their busy schedule to go over to the islands and play games there. Ultimately, because it's such a huge growth area and a nursery for rugby in the Southern Hemisphere. I just don't see why we're not doing that.
Yeah. But yeah, crazy stuff. Speaking of crazy stuff, Wales beat Japan, which is their first time in Nathan Lyon. How many games?
Like 18.
And like their props were crying on the bench. I saw that video.
That was cute.
Finally won.
That was cute.
And as we were saying before, just then, there's only 1 or 2 Welsh guys in the Lion squad, so it's almost a full strength squad.
Yeah, pretty close.
Insane areas. Didn't watch it, of course. But as Jared said earlier to me today, the Lions were an excuse just so the Welsh could win something.
It's an asterisk. Always will be an asterisk.
Yeah. Cool. So moving on.
Want to know for the Welsh? Good on them. I mean, imagine a top tier nation like Wales not being able to win a game in 18 fixtures. Like that's just that I don't. That's a record that's not going to be beaten for at least for a Six Nations team in my lifetime.
Italy might have a shot.
No, Italy good. They got good 20s coming through. They beat Ireland.
They do.
At Green and Gold Rugby, we love nothing more than celebrate a great Aussie success story. And Good Digby Distillery is one of the most exciting ones around. They're shaking things up, literally, by maturing their spirits in Aussie hardwood cubes instead of old school barrels. With infused flavours of ironbark, jarrah, even Tasmanian blackwood, that's about as uniquely Aussie as it gets. Not into malt? No worries. They've got a whole range, from Australian gins to grey gum vodka and even blackwood rum. No matter what you taste, there's something for everyone. Just head to goodredigby.com to place your order. And here's a special offer for Green and Gold Rugby fans. Use code GAGR20 at checkout for 20% off, or click the link in the episode description. Good Digby. That's good, ra, dig, be. Hard to pronounce, real easy to drink. And remember, drink responsibly.
Well, now we can talk about the under-20s. So, what are the junior Wallabies? Haven't done too well, but they've come 5th, I think.
They're in the 5th place final against England on Sunday night. So in Sunday morning. So that'll be, as we said before, if you're celebrating a Wallabies win and you stumble back home at 2:00 in the morning, you turn it on and keep the party going. But no, they rolled Italy to get into the final after getting beat by the English, ironically, in the group stages. I think it was a last-minute penalty sunk their case. And that came after they started with a thumping loss to South Africa. Like, they just got blown off the park by South Africa, who are now in the final against New Zealand, and then beat Scotland. So it's been a rocky journey for them, but they can end their tournament on a high on Sunday.
Yeah, when you see a scoreline that's against you that starts with a 7, it generally takes the wind out of your sails for any competition that you may be in, but a clear sign of intent that South Africa was there to win the whole thing. We do, that 5th place final that I may or may not be watching 2:30 in the morning on Sunday with a few Guinnesses on board against England is. Against England is probably the only thing that, because I think we played them already, Nathan. I think we lost by a couple of points, so it should be a good game. And I always like watching the under-20s to sort of see, who's coming through and all the rest of it. But might get the rapid recap on that one.
Power through. Like we were saying before, we've got the Tour de France. There's probably some friendlies going on in European soccer teams. You can fill the gap.
Yeah. Hey, we'll never complain about too much rugby.
I just want to say it's always funny with the Under-20 World Cup that Ireland and Scotland don't do any good because I guess their players in the future aren't playing for Ireland or Scotland yet. They're just waiting for to poach them from the Southern Hemisphere.
So no, that's racist or nationalist, whatever you call me before.
Yes. Apologies. Well, I know. Living in an imperial nation. Anyway, moving on. What else do we have? I think that's basically it. Or I guess if we want to, we can talk about South Africa's innovations.
Yeah, may as well. Look, the Maul stuff I don't really give a shit about because I think that's very easy to defend. Just either sack it or as soon as they go up, recognize that it's no offsides and just run around and sort of break it up. The deliberate kickoff into a scrum, that's ridiculous in my book. That's just, call it whatever you want to do. You're deliberately trying to break the rules then. And
you can just kick the ball out in the full and get a scrum anyway.
Well, you then have the option of a line out.
Oh, right.
So that kind of screws with that plan, but hence why I did it. But it's guys, at least it'll look like it. It's one of those ones. If you're gonna cheat like that, at least put some effort into it. Don't just take 2 steps and just kick it to the dude. Come on. If you're gonna try and get away with it,
who was offside anyway? It was a penalty. I don't know why it wasn't called as a penalty.
because it doesn't count as a penalty. It technically doesn't count as an offside penalty. It counts as a kickoff, like kickoff not going 10. So there's where the problem lies. You just call it out offside or call it a penalty for deliberately breaking the rule, like breaking the rules. That was ridiculous.
Scrum time. Yeah, as a scrum god.
Any opportunity to pack down, boys. No, look, it's a.
Jared's been known to just squat and put his head forward. Come on, boys.
Yeah, look, it's a clear breach in terms of. I was about to say the spirit of the game, but I won't. Look, it's contravention to how the game is supposed to be played. I just love how they rolled the dice and then the ensuing scrum that they think they're so good at. They got a short arm against them, so all of that for nothing, right? So it's a pretty low percentage play at the best of times. I like Razor's take on it. However, it's he played a fairly straight bat, but I think the rules are there to be sort of looked at, and yeah, they had a crack, and I don't see them doing it on a regular basis, but yeah, it's got us talking, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a bit of a funny one. It's a bit like Trumpian, right? Like Brazil just wants attention or something. They were playing Italy's B team. The Italian coach was basically like, what do you want me to do? Like, I've got to blood these guys. So kind of crazy. And actually, I found more results from the weekend. They beat Italy 45-0. Didn't mention that part. So, yeah, it's has got us talking. Do it against the Kiwis, you coward,
Well, that's just it, right? Like do you do that? Do you do that against on a bigger stage? Well, I guess he does. He famous for calling the scrums off marks in a World Cup. So look, I guess he does. He's a bit of a man, Rassie. But yeah, it'd be interesting to sort of see World Rugby's take on it and see if there's any sort of backlash to what he's done.
I also kind of discovered something about Rassie. So his real name's Johan. So Rassie, because Erasmus. So basically, he's called Smithy Smith. Isn't that? And respect
that's weird, yeah.
That's so fucking weird.
It's like Schmitty Schmidt coaching.
Yeah. Sounds like a cartoon character. Yeah. Crazy. Sorry, other results just for all our fans out there. Portugal 7, Ireland 106. Which is hilarious.
Close one. Could have gone either way.
Apparently, Portugal was spending last weekend on the piss. Like, one guy had his wedding and all this shit. So they weren't training. They had 1 week of training before this game. Uruguay beat Romania 70-8. Now this is rock and roll. When we get Paul Tate back on, Nathan, he'll go nuts. Hilsey, Paul Tate is our Argentinian correspondent. Argentina lost to England. So they beat the Lions, and now they're losing to England's B team. I don't know what's going on there. Lots of Falklands gear in the stands, no doubt. Canada 18, Belgium 25. Belgium looking good. And Spain beat USA 31-20 in the USA.
Vamos.
So that's that means let's go in Spanish, Hilsey. Yeah, not looking good for the next World Cup.
Just particularly when they've got hosted in they're hosting in 5-6 years' time. That's a worry.
Yeah. Shoot us. Anyway, before we go, I think that's it. And there's one final opportunity for our new latest DKO friend, Hilsey, to get in his soapbox and talk about whatever he wants. For the next 3 minutes or so.
Love the opportunity. 7. I've thought about this, and every Lions tour in Australia, I generally come across something or someone that really really gets my goat. So last time around, it was Lee Halfpenny and his kicking daddy, standing right behind him as he slotted every single goal that and I felt that just didn't sit right to me, having your coach stand right behind you as you took your kicks, and there's a bit of a security blanket. The time before then was, Ronan O'Gara's presence, but that someone took him out, so that was fine. But this year, I just can't deal with Marcus Smith. There's something about the curtain bangs, the constant pulling up of his pants, regardless of whether it's 18 degrees or 3 degrees. It's just he's going to be it for me this time around. I think I'm just going to really hone in on my disdain for that guy. Seems like a guy that wakes up and has a go at himself in the mirror of pictures of himself. So that's the type of guy that I think he is. I hope if he does,
he looks at himself in the eye when he does it.
Yes, 100%. It's something about him, like I was at that Canberra game, they hide him on the wing off kickoffs, and I was sitting right there, and I'm like, he's pushing his socks down and pulling his pants up at the same time, and I'm like, mate, it's 3 degrees out here. What are you doing? Like, you can't be that self-obsessed that you need to, show off your tanned legs. Mate, it's cold. I get it. Your
it's
physique's
good for your skin, apparently. To seem as good for your skin.
It's all stemmed from the Instagram videos of how he wakes up and he drinks his mate and he sort of saunas and all of this sort of stuff, and it just doesn't sit right with this guy, this laid back Aussie larrikin. You know what I mean? Just really, really gets my goad. So
describing yourself as a laid back Aussie larrikin, the ex property manager. Is this a larrikin? What's that, mate? You haven't paid your electricity bill. Can't help you.
I don't do that line of work anymore, boys. I'll get thrown off this pod really, really quickly if they found out that I was a property manager.
Any thoughts on that soapbox, Nathan?
I think
you're pretty critical of people's takes. Come on.
No, he's just too. Marcus Smith. I think it comes from the fact he's just too good looking.
Is he though?
Oh, okay.
Is he though? There are more attractive lads in that side. Marcus. I think Marcus.
Are they all props? Ellis again.
Yeah, Taniela Tufo.
Half furlong. Where's Dan Cole?
Yeah, that's my soapbox. Marcus Smith, you're on my shit list, mate. Sorry.
Oh, he's English, so I'll allow it.
Yeah, play on.
He also has that distinction of just being just too good. He's annoyingly good.
It's and that's just it, right? Like he's the guy. He's the guy that you call out. He's the guy that you call out, and you have a crack at him after a few Dutch courages at the footy, and then he'll just go put a kick through, and then it's just it's a lot of it is annoyance. I get that.
Yeah, that's the annoying thing about him. But I mean, between him and Henry Pollock, I think Henry Pollock's a natural villain. Like he's always good for a scrap. He seems like the type of guy that would start a fight and then hide behind 3 teammates afterwards. And also just has enough annoyingly good traits about him in terms of how he plays. I think between those two, if they get involved in any big plays, they can be natural people for people to go against this tour.
If these Six Nations sides were WWE stars, why are all the English players the heels, like the bad guys? Anyway, there's something in that, something for a pod on another time. But yeah, I think all the English guys are dickheads.
Because they're English, and all English athletes think that they're the best thing in the world.
Actually, on this point, I think what kind of gets my goat is that basically, it seems like what's his name is picking Ireland plus. Farrell's picking Ireland plus as the squad, and it's kind of like the whole point of the Lions is that they're a team of like they're not a champion team. They're just individual champions, and you smush them together. Like that's the challenge. But now in the hyper focused, data and analysis kind of era, it's kind of gone by the wayside, as we saw in the AUNZ game, that these guys played together for a week, but were hopeless against this finely tuned machine. That's kind of getting my goat. Like, I think it's kind of lame. Like, you want the kind of magic of this team coming together, but they're really good, like the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, and I think that
energy to it.
There's a point there which I'll lead into my bit as well. Like it feels like a lot of Lions tours in the past have had a bit more magic, a bit more other random stuff that go with it. But it feels like this Lions team, it's here to win and that's it. Which sounds stupid when you put it that way, but like they've caught some pacing by the fact that there's like very little community engagement, and anything they put up on their socials is either stuff that happened 3 or 4 weeks ago or just random stuff where fans are coming to them and they're all claiming that as engaging with the fans that are in it. Like, I know for a fact they're not as much as past tours, which is
it true about the school captain getting shut down by the media manager in Perth?
Yes, examples like that as well. Like where it can be a bit more relaxed. It's been a bit more relaxed in past tours, but this one feels very serious, very like we're not engaging with the people who've come down here, which is just focusing on rugby.
The whole can you send your Wallabies to play for the super teams? We don't want to do an Australia A game, all that kind of gear.
Yeah, it's all a bit that's all just a bit weird in my opinion. Like I feel like part of tours like this is engaging with the public and engaging where you are, rather than just to kind of treating this like any other tour and just being so uber serious with it. Which, look, I get it. You're trying to win. You're trying to be 3-0, but it's kind of like, if you're going to treat this like every other tour, it'll turn into every other tour.
Yeah, I think like
is that all Andy Farrell, do you think? Is this all by design? He's just trying to come in and do a bit of a smash and grab job and sort of, get in there, win, make history, etch the name into the record books and then get out of here?
Maybe. I don't know Andy that well in terms of character-wise. He sort of comes across as quite an earnest person and like he would be. Like I don't know where the sort of prerogative comes from, but I think it might just come from the fact that the Lions in itself are becoming a bit more of a corporate beast than in past years. I mean, 2021 you could probably get away with it being a lot more rugby focused given COVID and all the restrictions around there. So it could just also be a case of following on from that. People got very comfortable in making it a sort of corporate first approach rather than all the community and other fan stuff that goes with it. So again, it could be a myriad of factors that come with it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy actually. I think you're onto something there with Owen Farrell, because Ireland haven't made it past quarterfinals in Rugby World Cups. Like this might just be his chance to do that. Or he's seeing it as an audition for 2027. Maybe and going, maybe I can fuck around with these English and Scottish guys.
Just wait for a judge album and then come. Actually, no, I think he's still the Irish coach. So might just be...
yeah. But he's like, this is how we're going to play it. But he's got ideas for Ireland in 26 and 27. Yeah, maybe that's it. Anyway, on my shit list. Let's put it there. Anyway, I think that's it. We've gone on for too long again. Like talking rugby.
Shock.
Good. It's too good. But anyone who's listening, thank you for listening. We've got Talking Teams coming out tomorrow, so make sure you listen to them. They'll be talking the team announcement, which hopefully isn't too wild. And hopefully Christy's wrong, just for a bit of banter's sake. But yeah, everyone, thank you for listening. And let's go to the Wallabies. And if they win, don't forget, under 20s are playing at 1 a.m.
That's
so
true.
We can kick on. 2 a.m. so we can kick on. All right, guys. Catch you later.
Thanks, lads.
Tonight's episode was brought to you by Goodwood Digby Distillery, uniquely Australian and proud of it. Cheers to supporting local. Visit goodwooddigby.com.
we've got another week to get back on the horse and take that horse to the water, and you can ask that horse, you can say, hey horsey, do you want to have a drink or do you want to swim? Yeah, and it's up to that horse to then realise what he wants to do in his life. So we're looking forward to, like I say, getting back on that horse.
And are you looking forward to getting back on the horse 6 months since we last saw you?
I don't like horses, I can't ride.
Give myself an uppercut.